Hello, investors. This is Zhang, portfolio manager at Revere Asset Management. Today is Wednesday, January 29th, 4:49 p.m., coming to you from Fort Lauderdale with tonight's Revere Roundup Daily Market Insight video. Stay in the market. We are in an uptrend. Looking at the GROTECTION gauge, currently have market leaders on neutral just because we had the AI infrastructure blowups. But other leaders like software are robust and extremely strong. Bitcoin continues to act strong as well. Short term, major indexes above the 21 EMA, so that is green. Medium term, green as well, but small caps still below the 50. But just small caps alone does not prevent us from placing the green arrow. Long term, all indexes are still above the 200-day moving average. What happened today? Mute Fed reaction, which we love to see. I mean, the rate Fed's decision to hold rates was very much expected and mixed big tech earnings. So we'll definitely go over that. Meta, Microsoft, and Tesla, which they all reported. 21 over 21 list down 0.81%, 11 up, 2 sideways, 8 down. Big 8 down 0.82%. Like I said, Meta, Microsoft, and Tesla reported earnings. RG8 down 0.25%, S&P down 0.47%, RSP equal weighted down 0.33%, Qs down 0.19%, QQEW up 0.34%, and that's likely because of strong software names. Dow down 0.31%, mid caps down 0.41%, small caps down 0.25%, global 60/40 down 0.2%, and GROTECTION pretty much flat, up 0.03%. As always, starting off with S&P 500, really just extremely tight day, inside day today after yesterday's bounce, after that AI infrastructure destruction. Love to see tight action after FOMC type day. It's nice to see the markets not react violently. It's the upside or downside of economic news, such as the Fed. So this looks great. Trading right at the AEMA, above the 21 and the 50, and above 6,000. It's really starting to form this nice base here. Some volatility contraction as well in this base. Equal weighted, starting to really form this cup with handle here, as you can see. Msft pattern recognition picked that up. This handle is starting to look like it's leaking off, but still above the 50-day and the 8 and 21, so that looks still pretty good. The Qs also tight inside day, trading right at the 821 and 50. So we really have a power of 3 here. After hours, it's up 23 basis points just because some decently favorable big tech earnings reactions so far. Of course, their conference calls are later, so that could affect things. Equal weighted, stronger than the Qs, above all key moving averages, still below that 130 level, but we have this nice VCP developing here. And that cheap pivot is right there at about 131.88. The Dow, nice run up the right side of the base. So far finding resistance at 45,000. This V-shape-ish recovery, I would love to see some chop and then us take that out to the upside. Mid-caps held at 21 EMA today, even though we had a bearish reversal candle. But yeah, just developing the handle right now. Small caps, relatively weaker as well, still below declining 50. This still needs a lot more work to do before there's anything interesting in this area of the market. VIX continues to stay suppressed, and that's exactly what we like to see. Even better, we want to see us get back below the 200, back below 15, and settle down in this 10 to 14 zone. Onto the dollar, undercut reclaim the 50-day. Like I've talked about before, we broke this upper trend line, so the dollar definitely needs to consolidate more. We're still at the 8 and 21, which are disaligned now, and we'll see what happens here. We could chop base up and trend higher, or this continues to break down, which would be a positive for equities. Gold ran up the right side and started to build a handle here over 257.71, and that's a new all-time high for gold. Silver, huge bundle of moving averages stacked on top of each other, 8, 21, 50, and 200. Some levels I'm looking at is 29.56, of course, 30 hold number. And we saw some volume come in today. Perhaps if we do expand to the upside, like here when we had the moving averages stacked extremely tight, when we saw the expansion, had some pretty two quick, swift moves. So we'll see what we get from silver here. GDX, gold miners, trending above all key moving averages now. The 821.50 are aligned. We want to see those MAs get back above the 200 to tell us that the trend is fully aligned. First level is at 39.17. Then we have the 40 level. Of course, the previous 52-week high is at 44.22. On to Bitcoin. Really nice flag break today after an undercut reclaim of the 50 and the 20-day moving average. We got it back above this. This, I guess you can call it the double bottom pivot, about 102.7K. We did break above the 104K pivot as well. Got reclaimed the 10-day moving average as well as the previous high of the day. So continue on. Inter-asset correlation. The last part is bonds. Yields did start trending up a bit after FOMC, but reversed and closed near the lows. So that's a good sign, I guess. Still pretty mute reaction. So really can't really draw any conclusions from this. We don't expect another rate cut, at least right now, priced in by the Fed swaps until June. So we'll just continue to monitor economic data, how the market reacts to it, how the bond market reacts to data such as GDP tomorrow, PCE Friday. And we'll just take it day by day, week by week. So that's it from the inter-asset correlation. Let's jump into the charts now. Of course, we just talked about Bitcoin. I think this is one of the best bases in the market right now. I bid above 60. I believe it's gone. And that will coincide with Bitcoin around like this 105 to 107K-ish level. I believe Bitcoin above 108,000. And I think the next leg in this move will commence. So on to big tech earnings. Let's start off with, and guys, this is deep view, first time bringing this up. The only reason I'm bringing it up is because I can have some after hour data for you. It's a 5-minute chart. That's HIMS. We'll first start with Microsoft. Microsoft reported revenues of 69.6 billion, estimated 68.8 billion. So they beat on revenues. They also beat on earnings. $3.23 versus an estimated $3.10. Initially, 5-minute candle. We sold off over 5%, but so far we've recovered most of the move so far, and now we're currently only down 1.35% after hours. Now next, Tesla. We had a double miss, all right? Revenues of 25.7 billion versus estimated 27.2 billion. Earnings, 73 cents for 77 cents. We sold off as well, almost 6%. But from those lows, we rallied up 10%, and now we're actually on balance up about 4% after hours. Really nice flag developing in Tesla as well. And the conference call is at 5:30. Clearly, the market's not trading Tesla off its current earnings and revenues, but definitely what they're pricing in the future with various tailwinds and catalysts such as the development of humanoid robots, the expansion of robo-taxis, potential $30,000 or cheaper electric vehicle. So the conference call will be key. Elon will likely address DeepSeek as well, humanoid questions, robo-taxis. And it's the first conference call after the new Trump administration as well. And finally, last big tech earning, Meta. Some great volatility here. They had a huge beat, double beat. Earnings came in at $8.02 versus $6.74. Revenues came in at 48.39 billion versus 46.99 billion. Once again, sold off 6%, but now we're green on balance after hours, up 1%. So this is definitely helping the Qs after hours, which are currently up 23 basis points. So that's it for the big tech earnings. Talk about my favorite chart in the market right now, IBIT. I actually want to talk about, hold on, let me see if it's on the 21 over 21 list. Yes, it is. So I'll talk about that later. Let's start off from the top. CEG up 4.7% today. Reclaimed this left side peak of 288.75. Found support at the 50-day, but this chart is super sloppy now after it got clobbered off that DeepSeek news. So there's some repairing in this chart, this huge gap right here that needs to be filled. And we're definitely still interested in this name as it's one of the most legit utilities and nuclear energy names. Many of the big tech companies have signed deals with Constellation Energy, and they actually have real fundamentals, unlike OKLO and E and some of those small modular reactor names. Dutch Bros continues to make a new 52-week high. Beautiful trend above the 21 EMA post gap. This is exactly how you like to see these trend um, earnings in 21 days. Reddit, also new all-time high. Also perfect trend above the 21 EMA post the gap last quarter, 14 days for another earnings. These are the ideal stocks you want to get into, the bros and the Reddits on earnings gap, and aim to hold those into the next quarter because that's really how you achieve some extra alpha if you get a second gap up. And oftentimes it's like the cockroach theory. Once you get one gap up, one earnings beat a raise and surprise, you often have a few coming for you. It's just kind of how momentum works in the world. Like Newton's first law, if an object is in motion, it stays in motion until there's an external force that acts upon it. Hood broke out this flat base, really strong name today. SC broke out this cup with handle today, actually, earnings 34 days. IBKR broke out this cup with handle on earnings, pulled back to the EMA, looking the U-turn. Appleoven is another base I'm really loving over this 370 level. And I believe that's a potential buy opportunity. And then see how it acts against 418 and into all-time highs, add more. Earnings in 14 days, and this is really setting up for a potential epic earnings gapper. EQT also clobbered, kind of wedging back, and it's declining 8. Not really interested anymore, needs to settle down. ONON continues to make a new high out of this cup with handle. Nice action. Deckers in that apparel shoe area, like ONON, continues to make a new high. Earnings tomorrow. DoorDash, same thing. Broke out this cup. AEM gold name, also looking to break out this cup. HWM broke out this mini base, retested it, and following through so far. Ralph Lauren, just trend above the 21 EMA. Little reversal today, but nothing wrong. DE broke out this cup, more V-shaped, so I would expect this potentially pull back. Palantir is another great base I'm looking at. Undercut reclaim the 50-day moving average, undercut reclaim the 10-week moving average, earnings in 5 days, and above this 80 level, and we're game on. But the thing is, it's hard to buy even if we trigger tomorrow because we do have earnings. So likely this just chops into earnings that you can buy an earnings gapper. Twilio, just beautiful action post earnings on 10/31, trending above the 21 EMA, and they pre-release earnings and gapped up again. Like I said, the cockroach theory. Once you have one earnings beat and raise, oftentimes the momentum leaps to 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the best on average, 5 to 6, like NVIDIA. TKO breaks out of this super tight base, trending higher. And then Zillow Group also acting quite well, building the right side of the space, starting to put in some symmetry. Maybe we get some tight action like this before we go again. And then CyberArk continues to trend higher. Really nothing to talk about there. And Snowflake looked to break out of the cup yesterday, tight inside day today, just completing the right side of the base to see more symmetry. And that is it for the 21 over 21 list. When we see our top names down today, all act quite well. That is a great sign for leadership and the markets. And with that being said, I'm going to wrap it up for today's video. As always, you can email me at ted@revereasset.com. Follow my Twitter at TedHZhang, which I'm still locked out of. I'm working hard to get it back. Our phone is 855 Real Wealth. That's 855-732-5932. Our website's revereasset.com, and our YouTube is Revere Asset. If you're interested in becoming a client or have any questions, again, you can email me at ted@revereasset.com. With that being said, this is Ted Zhang at Revere Asset Management, telling it like it is. Thank you for listening and have a great rest of your week.